Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to another Morgan James book launch. My name's Jim Howard. I'm the publisher for Morgan James Publishing, and today we've got another incredible author for you. We have Gary Woodson, and Gary has written a kid's book titled Canine Heaven, and this book is illustrated by Natalia Logvanova. And Gary, thank you so much for taking the time today to talk with us.
Well, I want to say thank you to you guys as well. Certainly David and Morgan James, and the staff has been phenomenal all throughout. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
Oh man, that's exciting. Thank you for saying that. So let's get started. Just tell me a little bit of the history behind Canine Heaven.
Okay, in August of 2016, a very, very hot time in Oklahoma, these two dogs showed up at our house. We already had six. We live a little bit out in the country from near Tulsa in Wagner, Oklahoma. And the one small dog, who we eventually named Quito, showed up like on the mid-afternoon on one particular day in August. And then early the next morning, the other dog that we ended up calling Ben showed up at the house. We discovered him the next morning, but we live a long ways off the road, relatively speaking. And so he had to have tracked him. He knew who he was looking for. It's not like we're all on the road together. So he had to come up this field, almost 2 or 3 football fields, to find us. And so immediately, we have 6 dogs. So immediately we were going to, we got to get them in a good home. We have to put them in a good home. And so we went to a pet agency here locally, and we took them to the vets to take care of all those kind of things related to getting them into good health. We did that one at a time, and we realized there was a lot of social anxiety. My wife did with Ben, the one who got there second. Tremendous social anxiety when his little friend left. So we recognized that, I mean, they were very, very frail when they showed up, and we recognized that they had come together ultimately. And so my wife said, we can't separate them. So then we realized we're probably not going to be able to place both of them in the same home. So they ended up staying at our house, actually. And that's sort of how that happened. And so we adopted them. That gave us 8. And then about a month later, another one showed up that wasn't friends with them, but became friends shortly thereafter. So we ended up with 9, almost all of those strays or drop-offs that we have collected over the years.
Wow. Well, that says a lot about who you are and your wife as well, to put that kind of love into dogs that just show up, but they need that love too. And it's such an important work when we see people do that. And I'm certainly happy that not only did it add to your family, but so it real life scenario created the inspiration for this book. That's incredible.
It did. Interestingly enough, I took a correspondence course because I'd always wanted to write children's literature.
Mm.
And there was no association at the time about that, but before November of 2017, I began to take that course, and I ended up doing this as my second assignment in that course, just writing about that. So I figured they showed up for a reason. Why do they all come to our house? And so it turned out that I took the facts that I knew them and I kind of sewed together those facts with some fiction narrative, and came up with what would be the first draft of Canine Heaven in November of 2017.
Well, the book is so well done. It's such an incredible little story, and the illustrations are absolutely beautiful. And we know the readers for books at this age level are really at a good spot where you can introduce new ideas and thoughts and patterns into their lives. So what do you hope to create in the reader of Canine Heaven?
One word: empathy. You really shape generations by reaching young children. The biggest part there, and certainly up through middle school and high school, that's a great opportunity. But with young children, and that was November 2017, so that was way before all that we're seeing today.
Mm-hmm.
But really empathy, that we would, if we can ever walk in someone else's shoes, we have a better chance of understanding why they are the way that they are. Also helps us get involved more if we can see someone. And so I did that through dogs. I know I'm writing to children, and almost all children, I would think, likes a dog. And so I just basically help them walk through the emotions, the situations, the adversity that they had to go through to finally find what we call Canine Heaven, a dog-loving family that would take care of them. And so that's essentially what I want, people, not only children, but I would say parents, grandparents, whoever's reading the book to those younger children, and then those children as well, just to learn empathy. I would say it this way: empathy for pets and empathy for people. That would be transitioned over as they get older in life to ultimately having empathy for individuals, which would be the key thing. But pets need empathy too, and they need help, like we all need help in life.
That's outstanding. And you know, when we have that opportunity to share an honest, open care for others, that's where we can start making an impact on the world around us. So getting that conversation started young, I think, is so important. And you do that very well. But you also do something else that I thought was really cool in this book, in such a short, story and written in kids book format. You really bring to life a lot of personality to Quito and Ben. So, a question for you would be, what character qualities in Quito and Ben do you most admire?
Well, that's a great question, and they're so different actually. And it's just interesting that there's a lot of similarities between. They're not called man's best friend for no reason, and they have a lot of stuff that we have. But Quito, we had several names for both of them before we finally landed. But Quito was a pest, and his first or second night in the garage, he eats the whole seat off my son's Exmark mower. So he's just so we called him Mosquito for the longest time, and I finally shortened that to Quito. And he's a friendly dog who always gets into trouble. If anyone ever had ADHD, he's got it, and he still has it today. And he is into everything in life. He messes with our cats, not to harm them, but he's a pest there, and to everything that we do. Ben is just the opposite. Ben would much rather be in the kitchen with my wife than be out there in the yard running around. They have such different personalities, and so I really just went with what we saw. He showed up first, and I understand why he showed up first. He's an initiator. He's not going to sit still very long, and Ben is much more passive. But I do think that wherever they came from, and obviously I don't know that, I do know that they showed up skin and bones and dehydrated and very hungry and very thirsty.
Mm.
But I think that Quito even then sort of set the benchmark and the initiation of their relationship, wherever that was, or however many times they were at one house or the other house. I really don't know. Ben certainly had a pretty tight collar mark around his neck. But it really stems from their personality types themselves. And I just kind of went with that. Although Ben is much larger, and you can see them over my head here on the bookshelves, the before and after shots of them. And he's a great guy. He's a great dog, but he's very passive and just happy to be in the kitchen with my wife. He kind of bonded with her. Quito does not want to be in there at all, except when there's food out, and he'd much rather be out playing. And so that's really how it all got started.
Oh, that's outstanding. And I encourage everyone watching this, if you haven't already, get a copy of this book. It's an incredible story. The illustrations are just absolutely beautiful. And the story is important. And the message behind it is even more important. So, Gary, thank you for, writing this story. And like I said before, just taking that journey and taking on new people and pets in your family and giving them the love that they need, and then sharing stories that can let other people see exactly how they can do the same. So that is such an incredible thing. And I am so grateful that you put this story together for young people to learn what it's like to take on someone else's journey and help them along the way.
Thank you.
So if people are watching this today, Gary, and maybe they have a copy of the book already, or they just want to find out more from you and what you're doing, what's the best way for people to connect to you?
I would say Facebook. My daughter set me up a business Facebook page. I think it's called @Gary C. Woodson. I have a personal page as well. It doesn't matter to me how somebody might reach out or message me through that. I do have a website, canine-heaven.com. And then certainly my email is a Yahoo at garycwoodson@yahoo.com.
Perfect. Perfect. So I encourage everyone watching this today, get a copy of the book if you haven't already. Reach out and connect with Gary to figure out how you can get your hands on a copy of Canine Heaven. Gary, thank you for taking the time to talk with us today.
Thank you, Jim.
And thank all of you for watching and tuning in, and we'll see you on our next one.